part of it. You know, it was always kind of like second nature to be that way, I think.
Yeah, because in Canada right now, it's actually Thanksgiving. So
like I have experiences I want to write about, and maybe they're not right to write about in music, so I want to write about them somewhere, you know, and it could be cool to try. I don't know if I'm going to be any good at it.
Hey, it's Shannon here with Halsey for the iHeartRadio Secret Session.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm super good. I'm really excited.
Yeah, thank you for being a part of it.
Yeah, I haven't played a show in a long time, so I'm a little, a little nervous.
Yeah.
It's been a couple months since I've played a concert, so today's like, I have all that pent up energy I'll get out.
Right, and it's a little bit more of an intimate show too.
Yeah.
Is that almost more nerve-wracking because you can like see more faces?
I like it better because I really like getting to make eye contact with people, because it's like, it's kind of calming in a way where you're reminded that they're paying attention. Sometimes when you're playing to like an arena or whatever, it's like you're performing to the abyss and you're like, does anyone even care? Because you can't see anyone's face, you know? So you're kind of just playing to like blackness.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so one of the things that I love most about you is that obviously your music, but with it, you always have sort of a stance on things, and you always have a message that you're trying to portray. Was that something that you was always a part of you, or was it when you got a voice that you're like, okay, I want to do something with this?
I think I've always been pretty like outspoken about things. I think I'm a part of the first generation that like had, social media as like an outlet to speak alongside, their career. So it's kind of like a no-brainer for me. I feel like a lot of young people my age and younger and a little bit older are used to kind of like talking about politics and using the internet as a place for activism and for finding like, organizations to shine a light on and people's stories to share and like highlight injustice and stuff like that. So it was kind of just like, it was always part of it. It was always kind of like second nature to be that way, I think.
Yeah, because in Canada right now, it's actually Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving.
I know, happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so it's obviously, it's a time, and we have an election going on right now.
I know.
So it's kind of tense with a lot of people going home for Thanksgiving, getting into like debates with their families and things like that.
Totally.
So what kind of advice would you have for young people who feel like they can't have as much of a voice because they are the younger generation?
I say pick and choose your battles. You know what I mean? I think like everyone wants to like have that moment when they're home where they're like, okay, my opinion matters. I'm old enough. I'm going to fight with you guys. Like, but also it's like, I do think it's important to like spend time with your family. And as long as their views aren't they're completely impeding upon someone's like, right to exist, like, like human like fundamental morals, like, then it's like maybe save the conversation for like the next day. You know, like true. It's important to enjoy time with your family. And like I've gotten into plenty of blowout fights with people, and as I'm getting older, I'm starting to learn the right way to talk to people, because your goal ultimately is to educate someone, not make them feel stupid. Right. And that's like I think a big mistake people have when they're talking about politics, is like making the other person feel dumb rather than talking to them in a way that might actually get them to change their mind.
Yeah, and like talking at them rather than like trying to teach them
totally.
The lesson that you're trying to get across. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that a lot. That's really sweet. Okay, so I want to talk about Manic.
Woo!
And especially for an example, like Nightmare has a very strong message with it. When you went into that song particularly, did you have that message in mind and you wrote the song around it, or what did that come out when you were in the songwriting process?
Well, we started writing on the beat. It was like really angry, so I knew I wanted to yell, and I just wasn't sure about what. Yeah. So I started writing. I actually wrote the verses first because they were kind of like a poem. I wrote the I've tasted blood and it is sweet. I've had the rug pulled beneath my feet. Those parts. And then it was like, I'm saying so much right now. Writing the chorus was kind of hard because it was like, how do I sum up all these different subjects I'm touching on in all these verses? And then it kind of just like, I don't know, I was thinking back to this experience I had on, like, I was doing a red carpet, and this photographer was like, smile, Halsey, smile, smile, smile. And I was like, I'm not really a smiler, dude. I'm sorry. Which, like, I am, but not. I just didn't feel like it. Yeah. And he, like, got mad. He, like, literally, like, threw his camera. And I turned to the person next to me and was like, ugh, she never smiles. She's such a nightmare. And, like, that experience, like, really resonated with me. Because I remember walking off the carpet and then going back to my dressing room, being really upset. Like, looking for a manager, looking for my friends, and being like, did you hear that guy? Like, that's just okay? That guy just, like, did that and just, like, talked to me like that and just, like, whatever. And I remember I was so affected by it. And I was like, this experience is something that's been happening to me my whole life. It has nothing to do with being on a red carpet. It's like you get catcalled walking down the street when you're a kid, and, like, you get bothered by some jerk when you're at work and you're a teenager. Like, these experiences are really universal. And so that's when I kind of knew that I wanted to touch on that subject. It just happened to coincidentally happen while we were going through like a serious attack on women's rights in the United States, and so the timing of it was kind of like impeccable.
Yeah, totally. It was great timing for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people could like then use it as an anthem in those situations.
Totally.
Yeah, that's really great. So did the whole album creating process go according to plan?
Actually, no. I started with songs like Nightmare, and then I ended up not even putting Nightmare on the album.
Oh no.
Yeah, because I think I really set out to make a really angry album. I knew I wanted the album to be called Manic. I always name my albums before I write them.
Do you?
Always, because they're conceptual, so I like kind of like sum it all up. Like Badlands was Badlands before I'd even written a song. Hope's Fun Kingdom I had in my pocket for like years. I knew I wanted to make that album, and I'd known I wanted to make an album called Manic for a while. But the album, the tone of the album changed as my understanding of what being manic is changed. Because I think I used to think of it as a really bad thing. So I was like, oh, like I need to make this album that's angry and aggressive and sexual and like all these things. And then I really dove into myself and was like, okay, I'm not going to make a surface level assumption of or I make a surface level judgment of what mania is. Like, what is this really like for me? And the more I started to like dive into myself, the more I started to realize that it's actually quite vulnerable, and it kind of has a sense of humor and like an invincibility, and it's very eclectic, and like the album started to change and it became more soft and colorful and kind of useful. And it was a lot different than the album that I thought that I was going to make. But once I kind of figured that out, it came out really easily.
Yeah, that's sweet. And it's going to be more acoustic, is that true?
Not acoustic, but live.
Okay, gotcha.
So like instead of like programmed, like more electronic sounds, this one is like we play live drums on a lot of the songs and live guitar and live piano. So it's more like musicians in the room actually playing.
Cool, I love that. So I want to talk about the song Graveyard. Ooh. The lyric that really stuck up for me, and I think a lot of other people, is the warning signs can feel like they're butterflies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, once I heard that, I was like, oh, I like that. And then when I was reading online, it seemed like that really resonated with a lot of fans. So how does it feel when you like create something like that and then you see the reaction from your fans?
I can't take credit for that line because my mom kind of wrote it in a weird way.
Really?
Like, okay, like I put it together. I made it poetic. It was my mom's concept. She was talking to me on the phone one night, and she was like, Ashley, she's like, you cannot like go for the person who gives you butterflies. And I was like, what are you talking about? Of course I can. That means I'm in love. And she was like, no, it doesn't. She's like, if your heart like leaps out of your chest every time, you know, you make them happy or you feel validated by them, and they start craving that feeling, those butterflies start craving that feeling of like wanting them to like you, wanting them to like you, wanting them to like you. She was like, that's a manipulative relationship. That's a bad sign. That's a warning sign that something's wrong. It's your body's way of telling you get out. Is when your heart starts beating in your chest. She's like, you should be with the person who makes you feel safe, who doesn't make you feel nervous, and doesn't make you feel like you're hanging on their every word, like wondering if they're going to like you and give you those butterflies again. That's the person you're in love with. And I remember being like, I was on FaceTime with her. I was like really sad. I was like laying on my couch, and I remember being like, that's like the wisest thing anyone has ever said to me ever. Like, who are you? And it stuck with me. But she told me that probably like a year before I wrote the song. And then, you know, we were in there making Graveyard, and I didn't have a bridge. And I was just like, this is the one, you know. But yeah, that was my mom's wisdom, not mine.
Yeah, it's great though. It fits so well into like what you were trying to portray. That's awesome. So you have a big tour coming up.
Oh yeah.
How do you mentally wrap your mind around going on something like that?
I mean, I guess touring for me at this point is kind of just like touring to me is more normal than not touring. I feel like at this point in my life, I moved a lot when I was a kid. My parents moved a lot. Like I went to a lot of different schools and lived in a lot of different places. So being in one place for too long is weirder to me than moving all the time. Like I think the longest I ever lived in one house in my whole life is like 2 years.
No way.
Yeah.
Why did you move around so much?
My parents were always looking for like, you know, better jobs and cheaper places, and just they were super young when they had me, so they were kind of just like, you know, they were hoping that one place would be better than the last, and we were just constantly on that quest. But I think because of that, I feel comfortable touring and moving around. I also just, I don't know, I love getting to perform my songs because like it's the point kind of. It's like you write them to like so they resonate with people, and you get to go see the living proof of that, you know, that resonating in person, and it's so awesome.
Yeah, that's really sweet. So why do you think that it's so important for women to look out for each other in the industry?
Oh gosh, well I mean because we're in an industry that has kind of been like built on preying on other women's insecurities, you know what I mean? Like everything that we do and buy and listen to and watch is based off of women feeling insecure. You know what I mean? Like, makeup industries and Instagram and YouTube, and like some of those things are really cool and artistic and amazing, and I'm a part of them. I love makeup. I love, you know what I mean, like tutorials, and I love fashion and whatever else, but a lot of it is predicated on female insecurity, and what perpetuates female insecurity is female competition, is making every woman in the room feel like they're constantly comparing themselves to all the other women. You know, like, do I have nicer hair than her? Am I skinnier than her? Do I have better shoes? Do you think more guys would like me than her? Like, more girls would like me than her? Like, and just constantly like comparing yourself. And I think that because as a musician you stand in front of so many people kind of like bearing yourself, like, female musicians more than anyone need to be kind and gentle to each other, because like your peer, your female peer, like the female musician sitting next to you, you know what she's going through, and you know like how many people are watching her and the pressures that she's under. And if you're mean to her, then like you're just kind of the worst kind of person, because you know what she's going through, because you're going through the same thing. Right. So I think it's, you know, it's important to uplift each other and be supportive. And you know, the guys get away with it. They're all friends. They all hang out all the time. They're all posting about each other's songs and supporting each other. And I think, you know, the women need to be able to do the same thing, because it teaches other girls, like, we're stronger together than against each other. Yeah.
Do you find that there is more, like, cattiness amongst females in the industry?
I feel like maybe there used to be, but I don't think there is right now.
No,
I think everyone's, like, I mean, there's, in any industry, there's drama. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure, like, professional NASCAR drivers, they get into drama. It's like, you know, you're all competing in the same, like, in the same space. But I do think that it's changed a lot. I feel very fortunate to be making music in the time that I am, because I do have my female friends, and we do text each other. You know, you see someone gets to #1, and you're like, yeah, like, that's so awesome. And, you know, they're saying the same thing back to you. And it definitely feels better.
Yeah. Do you what do you think about like living in the age of social media though? Do you wish that you didn't, or do you see more of the benefit of that?
And it's a double-edged sword. Right. I wouldn't have my career without social media, because I cultivated my fan base online, and it gave me access to that, which was really awesome. But I think it also, you know, it kind of elevates that sense of competition, because there's like a literal record of everything everyone has done for comparisons. And like, I think the fan bases sometimes like to create drama and create competition. But I think social media is important for music right now, because it lets music kind of coincide with other mediums, like music and art, and music and poetry, music and, you know, fashion, music and politics. Like, it kind of creates like a space for those things to coincide more, which I think is really important.
Totally. You tweeted something about writing TV pilots. Is that something you're getting into?
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Actually, recently.
Yeah.
As of recently, yeah. I watch a lot of TV when I'm on the road. You know what I mean?
So what do you watch?
Oh gosh. I mean, I watch Game of Thrones. I watched Game of Thrones. Yeah. What else did I love? I love Sharp Objects. Just started Fleabag.
Oh, nice.
Which is really cool. I watched like a bunch of the old stuff too. Like, I rewatched Lost like 3 times, Parks and Rec, American Horror Story.
Nice.
We watch everything, honestly.
So now you're gonna get into TV.
So I was like, I want to do that. I think it could be fun. And because that kind of made me be like, what kind of show do I want to watch? You know, I've also seen so much of the world that I feel like I have experiences I want to write about, and maybe they're not right to write about in music, so I want to write about them somewhere, you know, and it could be cool to try. I don't know if I'm going to be any good at it. We'll see what happens, but I'm certainly going to try.
I love it.